I work in Ignitis Group. Myself, I'm mostly working with the Ignitis renewables companies, those who are providing the green generation power. And today I would like to share with you what's happening in Lithuania first, but as well how we are seeing preparation for the directive implementation in our company. And before moving there, just shortly, what is that company? Because I know that for Lithuanians, Ignitis is like Latvenergo in Latvia, but for other countries, sometimes it's like Ignite what? Ignitis? What it is, Ignitis. So if shortly we're an international company working in the energy sector, we have full line integrated utilities. So we have generation, we have grid connections, networks, we have trade, and currently we operate in 4 countries, 3 Baltic states and Poland. And overall in the group we have over 4,500 employees. So for us this directive is making a lot of work, as probably to many of you here. And we are as well present in Latvia. So it's pity I couldn't be in the morning and listen to what you locally are going through, because this is something what is ahead of us as well. For our Latvian operations, currently for the group, there are over 100 employees who are working for Ignitis Group in Latvia, mostly in Riga. So when I'm talking about the directive from the company perspective, I mean the whole group, and some problematics will be only probably relatable to those who are working in the group of companies, because it's additional layer of pain. And so let's start from Lithuania. Overall, as you know, the directive of EU is to be implemented until the middle of next year. We are quite ahead with the implementation. Overall, those who have been working with Lithuanian market know that we like to take all initiatives of EU the first and do the maximum and then just hang ourselves. So we did quite similar in this case as well. And many things are already in place which are required by the directive. So final votes are still to come in the upcoming months, but basically we know for sure that many things are already implemented or in place. And so the basics are same everywhere. 5% difference between male and female salaries should be closed or explained in the sufficient way. And the fun part about this is that it is big directive on which a lot of companies will have to put a lot of effort. But very often I get a question from male colleagues and employees and people around, like, so will that explain the difference between me and my peer men? So an answer is no, and that's usually disappointing. So I see the missed opportunity to make even better transparency, if we call it transparency, on that point, but it's definitely a huge step into making clear systems of the pay overall in the companies. Second important thing is that for those companies who are over 100 employees, so in our case it's almost all companies of the group, we will have to publish our reports on the pay publicly, and it goes to thousands of companies in Lithuania. So basically it is quite a transparency shift, quite a big. And by the way, we're a listed company, so for us it's nothing new because we have to report our results anyway and disclose our operations to investors and stakeholders. The next component, which is already agreed and known to everyone, that definitely and for sure the burden to prove and to explain falls under the employer. So employee gains the possibility to ask, question, dispute, debate, and employer will have to explain, prove, give additional information. And that's like clear for everyone on the market. Another requirement which is in the directive, but for us it's actually nothing new, is that salary should be shown in all job advertisements. And why it's not new? Because we already have it in the legislation from 2019, that ranges of salaries should be indicated, and it is either the minimum and maximum or the average salary for the position for every and each position we advertise. So no news for Lithuania, still to be done in other countries. And from personal view, the most pity will be on Polish market because their salaries are not disclosed and very often closed with the confidentiality clauses. And this is something what is as well coming to all the countries, and in Lithuania, that from now it will be prohibited to put confidentiality clause on the disclosure of the salary into the contracts. It is common practice in Lithuania, so that would be will be really a shift that you cannot do that. And the measure and the legislation have really quite good control mechanism, because for those who will not comply or for those who will not be able to explain, the compensations can be even for the whole period of employment with the penalties. So it's really costly exercise, and in my personal opinion, 5% is really the difference which makes you to work hard to explain why 5% difference is justifiable. So any directive are the challenges. So shortly about what is mostly discussed now among the businesses and employers in Lithuania, where we as a company see the biggest question marks which are not answered, or we are getting mismatching informations, because very often we have consultation with one governmental body. They would say one thing, then we would go to another, they would say a slightly different thing, but when you go to consultants, they would say, we definitely now know how it should be, and then each consultant would say it slightly different. So these challenges are mostly mostly mentioned here because of no clear answer, not because it's the hardest thing to do, but because of no clear answers. So one of the challenges which we face, and I know that other market participants face, is how to group. So how to define the categories in a way that it will be recognized by employees and by the governmental institutions as fair, transparent, and explainable. And I'm sure that many participants here, you do have remuneration policies, you do have job grades, you have explained that to employees, but then what we see in reality that overall common job grades do not work for the directive, because the requirements which are set in legislations are much more narrow and basically talking about the comparing the same job. And there is plenty of discussions on that subject. Not for the record, as people say, but one of the most debatable points in the description of what should be included into the evaluation and grouping was that on the labor and social security ministry guidelines, one of the points was written, the level of efforts. So like, how exactly do you put that into the job description? How exactly do you evaluate the level of efforts? So really, there is, I would say, a gap between already adopted principles of structuring positions and job maps, and how local institutions see structuring. So that's a challenge. Another thing is creating actually, again, the career paths and structures in a way that it is covering this variety of positions. Because as I mentioned, we have many activities we do, which translates to many functions we do, which translates to many jobs we do. But then we get the feedback from the institutions that, hey guys, but don't create 4,500 positions, because then we will think that you are trying to cheat us on the system. But at the same time, so how to do that? How to have a very diverse and very complex, actually, teams and organization, but put it into 20 or 30 categories. Are they then really comparable? Are they really about the same work? For example, we have many engineers, like over 1,000 of our employees are with the engineering education. But we cannot say that all engineers is just an engineer, because there is a huge difference between wind-yield engineer and electrical engineer working on the field. So a lot of debates in that. May I have a question? Actually, how many of you already started to do something in that direction, on the directive? Okay. And those who already started to do something, do you face the problem of categorizing jobs? Yeah. Some people have. Thank you for sharing the pain. Okay, next thing is that we see quite a lot of work as well in requirement and overall labor law requirement to negotiate and to agree on the systems with the representatives of employees and with the councils. And trade unions for sure. It is not about difficulty in dialogue, but it is a question of the process timeline. Because basically we have now 8 months until we need to publish everything and to do everything. And usually with the employees' representatives and the trade unions, the process of discussions, negotiations, and fine-tuning takes at least 4 months, going back and forth. So it's like pushing and suppressing quite a lot into the timelines. As an international company, we have definitely the problem of every country is adopting it slightly different. So it's with every location you have separate stream of this very similar work, and thanks God we have a lot of repeating positions in different countries, so some cascading will happen, but to be fully compliant, many nuances will be taken into consideration, which is again quite a effort consuming and people work consuming. Overall, I think that in the upcoming year, comp and ben specialists will be the most desirable people in HR community. So if you have good one, hold to them, they will be hunted, I can almost promise you. Another thing is, I already touched upon that anyone you would consult would tell you a slightly different story on what should be the criteria and methodologies. So the difference in number of methodologies to be used is quite big. And then the question is, when social security funds will collect all the data, how they will compare that. Because for the moment, the promise from social security funds is that they will automatically, because we're reporting all the salaries on monthly basis to the social securities, so they kind of have all information they need to make any kind of analysis and checks. But then the question is, if every company is having different way of distributing the categories, how social securities would know which system to use where. So it's probably in the future, it will unify at some point, but in the beginning, it will be quite a mess because basically they will make assumptions or they would need explanations, and there is quite a big chance for the mismatch. Data. Pain of many companies, data quality, data gathering, data analysis, and as it requires basically to answer to every inquiry of the employee at any time in the given timeline, it means that you need to have data available for comparison and for answers. And there is a lot of job to do in actually structuring the data in many companies. So after comp and ben, with the second hand, please hold your data analytics if you have. Those will be hunted too. And last, but definitely not least, the challenge is that now all narratives are going between HR, comp and ben, and institutions. But the real question and real change and real job will fall on managers, because they will have to explain, they will have to think about, they will have to re-justify, they will have to revisit if gaps are there. So it's actually super important point of all this journey to train the managers once you have an answer for yourself. So this is where we see as well as a group a big work to be done next year, basically to train the managers on what is happening and how to respond to it. And as it is case study, just shortly, it's definitely not the best practice or something. It's just sharing with you how we see the process, how we are as a group planning to implement this change. So this year full is dedicated for us for preparation and analysis. We are already starting from working from the beginning of this year on identifying categorizing methodology, on choosing categorizing methodology. Again, as I mentioned, we do have our quite, I would say, professional remuneration system, but it doesn't comply the requirements of the directive in all points. So after the principles comes the tools. So data translates to the tools. How do we get all information and how we analyze it? Something what probably managers are not thinking yet, but they will have to face it, that if there will be gaps identified over 5%, it will need adjustments. So additional budgets from the next year budgets is something what will be needed. And as mentioned, managers plays a critical role, so communication to managers first of all. And I'm not actually, sorry for saying that, but I'm not very worried about employees, because usually if something works for employees' benefit, they are super expert, they get expertise in the question very quickly. So as this directive works for employees, they will know everything about the implementation. Then next year, heavy work, so basically making it all happen, putting in place all the systems, all the documents, all the mappings, all the reports. Again, already next year we'll have to report on information, and then making the changes where we identify the gap. What will be important next year for us is as well to create a process and the channels for employees' inquiries, because this is what we see as a potentially chaotic process, because employee can raise this question basically they don't need to explain why they are asking. They would just ask to justify, and you need to justify. So this process is well important. And in 2027, we aim to be absolutely 100% compliant with the legislation, everything in place, everything running smoothly, everyone happy, no payment gap between men and women anymore. And don't take me wrong, I'm actually super sponsoring for closing the gap. And today I see a lot of female audience, which is very actually standard scenario and sightseeing for all questions related to the equality. But in Lithuania, statistically, over 30% of women on the pension, so retired women, would be on the level close to the economical poverty, which is a terrible thing. And this is because by losing every year 5% only, you end up with really small pensions in the end. So with this sad moment and looking hopefully into the effect which directive will give, I would like to finish my presentation and sharing. Thank you very much.